morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio, and I thought we were done with new stuff this week. I didn't think we were going to have any more big reveals. Well, turns out the gym promos have gone and been leaked. Now, for those of you that don't know, these were supposed to be shown off at the gym challenges, but all these tournaments have been cancelled in Japan at the moment because of the whole virus thing. So, showing them off seemingly got delayed. So, someone's gone and leaked them. And one of the cards looks really good. According to the lovely Antoine Boulet, they are called Adversity Gloves. And this one could be really good. Now, it's kind of a weird card, alright? But it's really good. According to the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites here, who does provide our translation, because of the whole lovely person thing. If the opponent's active Pokemon is the same type as the weakness of the Pokemon this is attached to, attacks from the Pokemon this card is attached to deal 30 more damage to the opponent's active Pokemon. Yeah, that's a weird one to phrase and a complicated one to explain. So basically, you look at your weakness, and if you're being hit for weakness by your opponent's active Pokemon, you can do an extra 30 damage to them. It's basically going, oh no, I'm weak to you. Now I can hit you a little bit harder. Now let's be clear, doing an extra 30 damage is great. This is basically Choice Band territory. Choice Band was amazing. Choice Band was phenomenal. Let you do an extra 30 damage to EX and GX Pokemon. Saw a huge amount of play. Was amazing. Saw playing basically every deck. Now, that was hitting a far greater number of Pokemon. It was hitting all the X's and all GX's. This is basically, I am weak, let's hit harder. And the thing is, there are a couple of really specific uses we can find for this, which are going to help quite massively. Now, one of the ones we've got here, though, and this is pretty gosh darn good. How about Mewtwo and Mew? You see, Mewtwo and Mew hits weakness on Psychic Pokemon, pre-Sword and Shield. Post-Sword and Shield, we got things like Indeedee, which are weak to Darkness, but pre-Sword and Shield, Psychic was weak to Psychic. So you're weak to Psychic, but you're also hitting weakness on Psychic, so anything you're particularly worried about, except for like the odd Ghost Pokemon, you should be hitting for weakness. So let's say you've got a Mewtwo and Mew against a Mewtwo and Mew. Well, I'm weak to Mewtwo and Mew, but I also hit weakness on Mewtwo and Mew, so this is an extra 60 damage. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Now, I must confess it was Antoine that pointed this one out. I cannot take all the credit for it, and maybe I'll take a little bit to see how I'm feeling. But one of the Pokemon that Mewtwo and Mew loves to copy is the second Solgaleo GX. You see, the second Solgaleo GX has a really nice attack for 2 colourless energy, bearing in mind the deck tends to play Welder to get the energy on there quite easily, that does 120 damage, it's called Turbo Strike, and it attaches 2 energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Well, now all of a sudden, it doesn't do 120, it does 150, doubled of weakness is 300, and that's a straight one-hit KO. And it really depends on how many mirror matches you're expecting, right? But if you're expecting mirror matches, this is pretty awesome. It is a really, really good option for taking out Pokemon that, quite frankly, you should be a little bit worried about in the first place. So that's quite nice. And any Pokemon where you are hitting the same weakness as you have is clearly going to be awesome. But then again, how about Zacian? You see, Zacian here I like very much indeed, because Zacian is weak to fire, and that's a slight issue. Now, there is a very clear thing here, right? Zacian should maybe be playing Metal Frying Pan, which takes away your weakness and means you take 30 less from attacks. There is a clear argument here that Zacian should be playing Metal Frying Pan. I get that, we'll get back to it in a moment, bear with me. But if you put this onto a Zacian, all of a sudden Brave Bird doesn't hit 230, Brave Bird hits 260. Well, that's a little bit better. Now, sad face here, Reshiram and Charizard actually has 270. But now we're talking just literally 10 damage and you're getting a one-hit KO. Now that's pretty good, right? because you should be getting a one-hit KO for 3 prizes, while they're getting a one-hit KO for 2 prizes. That kind of puts it in your favour quite nicely. How do you do the extra 10 damage? We got a couple of ways. Shrine of Punishment's a fun one, given that it will put 1 damage counter on your opponent's EXs and GXs, but if you're playing stuff like Zacian, so you're not playing EXs and GXs, you don't take the damage. That'll do it quite nicely. Obviously, you cannot play Vitality Band. It is 1 tool at a time. Sorry about that. But how about Roxy? Roxy is a supporter card. When you play it, you discard 2 Pokemon from your hand, draw 3 cards for each Pokemon you discarded, and we've got Wheezing and a pre-evolution Coughing if you really want, but you can start with Coughing, so Wheezing is better. And that means that you put 1 damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon. Oh, look at that. That works out quite nicely. Or there's a million different attacks that can do 10 to all of your opponent's Pokemon. The point here, quite simply, is we've got plenty of options, if you want them, for doing 10 damage. And then as soon as you've done that 10 damage, Zacian can come in, hit 260, jobs are good 'un. Of course, Zacian is generally played with ADP. And I think this is the hook here for Zacian. Because when you're playing ADP, you use a GX attack, which means that for the rest of the game you do an extra 30 damage, and you take an extra prize of every KO, and that's for all of your Pokemon. So now all of a sudden, against fire Pokemon, Zacian is no longer hitting 260, it's hitting 290. And that is a straight one-hit KO on a Reshiram and Charizard for 4 prizes. That's going to make a difference. And look, Metal Frying Pan stops them KOing you. Metal Frying Pan takes away your weakness and means they do 30 less damage, so even a Flare Strike is only actually hitting 200. Yeah, that's quite nice. But then again, if you hit them for 230 and don't KO, they can outrage for a KO. Even if they're not hitting for weakness, they can outrage for a KO. Even if you've got a Metal Frying Pan, they can outrage for a KO. You do 230, they do 260. Even with Metal Frying Pan, it goes down to 230. That's still a KO. My point isn't that this is a stone cold slam dunk inclusion in every Zacian deck. No. My point is that this gives you another option. It's another really good thing the Zacian decks can do. It's another trick the Zacian decks have. And it's another alternative. We've got stuff like Adventure Bag at the moment that searches out your tools quite nicely. We've got that Greedent, although to be fair, Greedent is a stage 1, so there is a very strong argument you're not going to want to play it in a primarily basic deck, or a lot of the time an entirely basic deck. But it is an option there nonetheless. It's something you can be having a play around with. It's something that you can use other than Metal Frying Pan. Why not play 1 or 2 of these, just in case? If we had sideboards in the Pokemon trading card game, for those that don't know, sideboards are extra cards that you can swap into your deck between games in a best of 3. So you lose game 1 and then you can add in a few cards from your sideboard, so you can put this in your sideboard in case you're playing against a Reshiram and Charizard deck. It's a metagame call. The thing is, I've given you 2 examples. Mewtwo and Mew against other Psychic decks, Zacian against other Fire decks. But the fact of the matter is, there are going to be a million different things that you can do here. The rule is incredibly simple. If a Pokemon that should be hitting you for weakness is 30 or less damage away from being KO'd using the attack you want to use, this will get you the KO. Or if you've got stuff like ADP, you can be 60 away, etc. This is very, very much a matchup card. I don't think this is something like Choice Band or Vitality Band, or pretty much any of the bands, to be honest, where you can just throw it in your deck and cross your fingers and expect to get some use out of it. This is a very specific, in this matchup, I need to do a little bit more damage, and then it's got your back. And I absolutely love it. Of course, and look, it's my pet deck at the moment, I've told you this. I know that most of you aren't going to be excited about this like I am, but Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales for 0 energy does 10 damage for each tool in the discard. And it's weak to metal, Which means now, instead of having 22 tools in the discard to get a one-hit KO on Zacian, you now need 19 tools in the discard to get a one-hit KO on Zacian. That makes a difference, ladies and gentlemen. That absolutely makes a difference. I am psyched about this card, and it's not going to see play in every deck, but it's going to see play in a bunch, and when it does, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm giving it 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I'm pretty excited about this. It's a brilliant tool, and like I say, it's not a new staple in every deck, but it is a deck builder's card, and oh my goodness, I love it. But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, or you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but look pretty gosh darned awesome, and actually I can confirm are pretty gosh darned awesome. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.